Hi, this is Laura
And this is Lisa.
with Material Girlfriends, and we're going to start our tutorial with month one. What a great place to start. Now, the Irish chain sawtooth block, you'll be making month one, and you're going to be making 4 of those units. And then you're going to repeat it again for month 3, and again, you'll make 4. There are 3 units to making this block, and we're going to take each unit one at a time. The first one that we're going to work on will be on how to make those flying geese. Then we're going to work on the square in a square, and then finally that little Irish chain part. So let's start at the beginning. So we're going to be working on the Irish chain sawtooth block with the flying geese. So you're going to start with a 5 1/4 inch square. Then you'll have your 2 7/8. You'll have 4 for each block. You're going to draw a diagonal line along the center of each block. Now I like using the almond grid and making a line on both sides. So I'll line up that center and then I'll just draw a line on both sides. So I'm actually going to sew on my drawn line. My sister likes using one line.
I like drawing just one line and sewing a 1/4 inch from each side of that one line. And that's how your pattern is called out. But if you like sewing on the line, it
we like giving
keeps
you
on
options.
track. Definitely do what you like best.
All right, so I am going to take my 5 1/4 inch square. I'm going to lay those 2 7/8 blue squares from corner to corner.
And see how they overlap? They're going to overlap quite a little bit.
Now I'm going to add my pins, and I'm going to sew right on my lines. If you draw one line, you'll sew a 1/4 inch from each line.
Now, if your blue dot squares are not overlapping just like this, check your measurements. Sometimes what happens is your 5 1/4 inch square might have been 5 1/2 on one side and 4 1/4 or 5 1/4 on the other. Just double check your measurements if they're not looking like this.
All right, we're going to sew those lines. I'll be right back. Now I've sewn right on my lines. Now I'm going to cut right down the center of that.
Switch this around a little while you cut that.
And so now I've got this funny little, I've got a funny little shape here. So we're going to pull our iron in under the camera.
Yeah, it was almost there. I was
And to press this, I'm just going to set that seam. And then I like to give it a little brushing with my fingers while it's nice and warm, and then hit it with the side iron. And we want to be sure we're pressing, we're not ironing, so I'm not going to have a lot of wiggle going on. I'm just doing a nice press. Then I'll just feel with my fingers to make sure I don't have any little fold overs. And we'll do that with both of those. Give it a nice little press. I don't use steam. I think steam tends to distort, especially for newer quilters. We don't need this super flat. I don't know why quilts have to be super flat. All right, so now I'm going to add my second piece. Get those little pins on here. And I'm running that diagonal again. And my quilting lines are going to end, or my sewing lines are going to end right here at the notch of each of those. And then I'll know I've got my 1/4 inch lined up just right. So I'm going to align very carefully. I'm not going to rush this at all. Oh, where'd that funny little pin come from? How people have orphan blocks. Lisa, I think I have orphan pins.
I know, I don't
Every
know
pin from
you have 9 different styles in one pin cushion.
All right, we've got those pinned. We're going to sew those up. Let's get this slightly out of the way there. I'm going to cut right between those. And there's that flying geese.
Okay, these look good.
Excellent. And that is how you do 4 at a time. Now I'm going to trim off those little dog ears. And then the next thing units we want to put together is our square and a square.
Okay, I'll snip the dog ears off.
There we are. So our square and a square is going to start with a 4.5 inch square for our center. And then I've got 4 of the very dark navy blue. I love this fabric, just absolutely love it.
Isn't it
So,
just yummy?
2.5 inch squares. And I'm going to draw a diagonal line through this from corner to corner. Now, I'm not going to sew on a 1/4 inch on each side like we did with the flying geese. We're actually going to sew right on the line for this one. So I'm going to align carefully one corner and put my pin in it. And I'm going to align very carefully on the other side. This is where you want to put your glasses on. And then we're going to sew right on those lines.
Flying geese are all done.
Yay!
Nice and snipped.
All right, I've sewn right on those lines. Now, before I cut this away and press it open, I want to do what we call auditioning. And so I'm going to fold this over, and I want to make sure that I cover all my edges, and I'm pleased with how it's aligned. Now, if I find that it's off, it's kind of cockeyed, etc., then I'm not going to be too happy with that. I'll seam rip it and try it again. So this way I give it a once over first before I commit when I cut it. So if I like that, I'm ready to cut those. So I'll just go ahead and measure my 1/4 inch. Do the same to this side. There we are. And now I'm ready to press those. Give it a little pressing here. And now we're ready to put on the next side. Again, I'm going to very careful align, making sure that all my 3 edges
And it's important to notice that you're overlapping the other triangle. So it should overlap so that when the seams intersect, that intersection is going to be a 1/4 inch from the edge.
right. Alrighty, I'm going to put 2 more. I hate it when they wiggle.
Yeah, this one's already trying to shift over.
Look at that. There we go. Sew on those lines. I'll do that little audition. Oh, that looks good. I'm pleased with this side too, so I'm going to trim those off.
A 1/4 inch from that seam line.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want me to give it a good press?
Yeah, I'm going to finger press that out.
And that should now measure 4.5 inches square. That looks really good.
All right, we have 2 of the units needed to make our square, and so now we're on to the 3rd part. So the 3rd part, you're going to start out with strips of your
Cream and brown.
exactly. Now, where did that?
Your paper's right there.
No, I was looking for the one you sewed together for me. Oh no.
Oh, of course.
All right. So Lisa pressed this. Here's my tip for this one. Let me set these 2 aside. We're going to pull the iron. We're going to pretend this is the ironing board. So the ironing board, a lot of times we lay it horizontal. Our ironing board's nice and long, and we will open this up, and we just put our iron on here, and we just go like this. Well, what happens is that we get this little floof that's going inside of that curve. And the longer the piece, the longer that more predominant that curve is. So turn it so that it's going away from you. And then as you gently pull and press, you won't get that curve at all. And I don't know why this magic of turning away from you works, but you will not have a curved little strip of fabric if you just work with it away from you. So once you have your nice little strip, we're going to subcut those into 1.5 inch pieces. Those 1.5 inch pieces we're going to make into little 4 patches.
Here's a short piece if you want to cut
Oh,
some more. Cut some more 1.5 inch pieces.
After all, we have a lot of them to make. By the way, small cuts use small rulers, big cuts make big rulers. So we're just gonna trim that off. Put my glasses on so I can see it.
You want to track a line of your ruler along the seam line.
Now, if you're working with your sister, you want to be really careful not to cut her finger while she's
I'm getting my fingers in the way.
Anybody else, you know, it's just fine, cut away. But if it's your sister, mom gets mad, so you have to watch her fingers.
So you have to make a bajillion of these little 4 patches.
A bajillion. So we're just going to take those little 4 patches. They're all pressed toward the dark.
And if you have extra from month 1, save them for month 3. It'll just save you from having to make a whole bunch more.
I'm going to nest that seam right there. Put a pin in there if I feel like I need to, and then sew that pretty little 4 patch. So then I'll have a whole bunch of these little 4 patches. Once you have your 4 patch done, you're going to add your 2.5 inch square. So then you're going to be making these units. So you'll be sewing these little units together, just aligning, and then sew that unit. That unit, when you rotate that there, is wrong. But I know I just took this apart, so I knew it was right. Sometimes the glasses just don't help. So then I'm going to take that little 4 patch unit to this one. We're going to align right there at the center, put our pins in there, sew that, and we'll have this wonderful unit. So once we have all of these made, then we're ready to start putting this together. So then once we start adding our flying geese units to our
We're missing
square and a square
rectangles.
unit.
What did we do with our rectangles?
Oh, I might not have cut them.
Well, we'll have to cut those in a minute.
Oh, and then we'll pretend to put these guys.
There you go. We'll pretend those are done too. Okay, we'll come right back with a few more finished pieces.
Or we could just skip it and go right there.
I think that's cheating.
Okay,
let's finish this whole unit with a few rectangles and get some more of the Irish chain.
Or you can say, yeah, I got that. We'll just, yeah. So we're going to finish out this little unit too. I had gone too fast. There's not that much fabric. It's like,
nope, it's on the skinny, but we only need 4.
All right, and I believe they're 4.5 by 2.5, right?
Yes, they are. And then all of our units will measure 4.5 inches square.
Right. Okay. I thought I had it all pre-cut. There we go. Ta-da!
We'll need to make a few more of these.
I know, aren't they awesome?
They are really cute.
Well, as we're putting our little units together, I thought I'd show you the fun little twist on the back. Is that you could just so in essence I've made that one little piece. I've got that little piece. I'm sewing them together, and then as I'm getting ready to press it, I'm just going to push it that way, and then you can see that fun little
4 patch.
little forward patch in the center, and that helps flatten some of the bulk of the fabric in the center.
Show them again.
Let me show you again.
So the seam goes horizontal. One thumb goes up. One thumb goes down. Pop.
Ta-da! And it's just popping the tiniest little threads right there.
Do it again.
Again, wait a minute. Somehow I feel like Lisa's going to have a fence for me to paint here soon, too. So we'll just do that again, little Tom Sawyer. All right, no more jumping ahead for me. I had to finish the units properly. Couldn't just kind of snaggle-tooth it all together.
Couldn't do 1, 2, skip a few.
Oh, I know it. So we have our unit with the flying geese, and we have that beautiful little 2.5 by 4.5 sewn on there. So we have 4 of those. So that is our first one. We're going to go ahead and lay them out where they're supposed to go. And then we have that cute little Irish chain. I love the Irish chain, mostly because I just think it is fabulous. And of course, we have our little 4-patch thing.
I know we
in
didn't
the
follow
back.
the pressing instructions.
Yeah, sometimes you just have to play instead. Isn't that awesome? So now you get to do this 10 times. I've already done it 10 times. I'm on 11 times now. So now we're going to sew our top row together. We're going to sew our middle row together. And we're going to sew our third row together. We're going to sew our top row to the middle row and the bottom row to the middle row. And then our block will be finished. We're ready to move on to the next.
Now we can pull out the finished one.
Oh, okay. Oh, ta-da! Look at that. We got it all done already.
All right, we'll see you in the next video.
Bye.